Good evening, everybody. This is Gina Ifowe, the one and only African superstar. I'm bringing you another live stream. This one is obviously motivated by many current events and quite a sombering message, but obviously I definitely want to talk about this. I want to cover this. The topic is there have currently, as of February 15th, 2023, been 71 mass shootings in the U.S. This is so far the most deadliest year in America. There have never been this many mass shootings at this point of the year, and definitely forecasted to increase. We see the frequency is just astronomical. There was a school shooting on Monday at Michigan State University. At the time, that was the 67th mass shooting. By Tuesday, it had already increased to 71. So I will show a clip around probably the 5-minute marker of the related story. One of the students killed at Michigan State University was the niece of a reality TV star named Delicious. She was on the show Flavor of Love, and her niece was doing medical studies, I believe, at Michigan State University. I talk about gun violence very frequently. It is one of the fundamental reasons that I left the U.S. I knew that it was a problem even when I left the U.S., and I obviously recognized that it was going to be getting more and more dangerous. I do talk about gun violence on this platform because I understand I have an audience of, the comprehensive diaspora. I have people that watch me here in Ghana. I have people that watch me, around the world. I have people in the West. And I also have African migrants that watch me. So I think when we cover this stuff, it's very, very important. Big shout out to the African superstar family. What's up, Debbie? What's up, Brown Coat Blue? Make sure you guys like the stream tonight. I'm going to get into it. So I just want to kind of cover the story, and then I'm going to actually show you guys a news clip. We are currently at 71 mass shootings on today, February 15th, and that is the current number as of now, which obviously, with the trends of how things have been going this year, it will certainly increase. It may increase by tomorrow, unfortunately. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to just cover some facts about this situation. The most recent mass shooting, again, took place on Monday at Michigan State University. 3 students were shot to death and 5 critically injured before the gunman, who was an African American, took his own life. It was the first mass shooting at a U.S. school this calendar year. So that means all the other 70 were happening at various places, such as shops, maybe workplaces. I know in New York, they have been happening on the subway train, but this is actually the first school shooting of this calendar year. Nationwide, there have been a total of 71 mass shootings to date. Now, again, this is so far the deadliest year in America. It says there has not been any year we have had 67 shootings in 6 weeks, says Mark Bryant, Executive Director of Gun Violence Archive, on Tuesday morning. By Tuesday evening, the number of mass shootings reported and verified by Gun Violence Archives, nonprofit formed in 2013 to track gun violence in the U.S., increased to 71. So he made that statement Tuesday morning. Okay, this episode happened on Monday, and then by Tuesday evening, it had gone from 67 to 71. One of the latest school shootings took place outside of Westinghouse Academy in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 4 juveniles were injured, according to the Pittsburgh Police Department, marking the second mass shooting at a school in 2023. So the first shooting happened on Monday, and by Tuesday, the second mass shooting at a school had taken place. School shootings rise post the pandemic. In 2021, after the return to in-person classes, school shootings rebounded nationwide. There were 90 school shootings, K through 12, and on college campuses with at least one injury, one fatality with a firearm. 4 of those incidents were mass shootings. So that was in 2021. Now, again, we see we're up to 71 mass shootings in America already. Last year, which will be 2022, the number of school shootings and people killed and injured during those incidents hit a record high. Huh? You guys don't listen to me. I'm just giving you the facts. Last year, the number of school shootings and people killed or injured during those incidents hit a record high. 132 incidents, according to Gun Violence Archive data. 74 people died and 190 were injured by firearms at schools across the country. My goodness. A dozen of the incidents were mass shootings, including the deadliest school shooting in a decade, Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, where 22 people were killed, including the shooter, and 17 were injured. More recent incidents include a January 6th shooting after a high school basketball game at Oak Park High School in Oak Park, Michigan, where one student was injured by gunfire. And Monday, a 15-year-old student at Dalhart High School in Dalhart, Texas, died after a firearm accidentally discharged inside a vehicle in the high school's parking lot. I would like to say there was also an incident in Ohio last week. A parent committed suicide in a school office at Pickerington High. I personally was getting, seeing people on my feed back in Columbus saying, oh my goodness, my child attends that school, and so on and so forth. Guys, let me go ahead and share the recent clip of what happened on Monday. Shout out to the African Superstar family. I'm just going to go ahead and get into it.
Tonight, we now know the names of the 3 students shot and killed in that tragic mass shooting at Michigan State. Right now, 5 other victims remain in the hospital in critical condition. The outpouring of love and support for the Spartan community continues tonight as flags across Michigan fly at half-staff in their remembrance. Tonight, we're also learning more about the gunman and the note authorities say he left behind. Tonight, these are the innocent lives taken during another tragic mass shooting in America this year. Ariel Anderson, Brian Frazier, and Alexandria Werner, all students at Michigan State University in East Lansing, Michigan. Ariel was a junior and an aspiring pediatrician.
We were just hoping that maybe she was hiding somewhere.
Brian Frazier, a sophomore and chapter president of Phi Beta Delta. His fraternity calls him a great friend to many. And Alexandria Werner, an upperclassman whose friends say was an example of kindness.
Run!
Their lives were sadly taken last night when police say a gunman went from building to building on a violent rampage. Scared students hid in classrooms, fearing for their lives.
He came in our class and let off 3 to 4 rounds when it went silent for about 30 seconds to a minute. Two of my classmates started breaking open the window.
Police identify the gunman as 43-year-old Anthony Dwayne McCrae. After an hours-long manhunt, police say he died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound at a location off campus.
When he was confronted, he took his own life. We know that he was not affiliated with MSU, not faculty, not staff, not a student.
The FBI says McCrae suffered from mental health issues. Detectives found a 3-page note on him listing places in Michigan, Colorado, and New Jersey he also wanted to attack. Authorities also found a gun at the scene and a second in a backpack along with multiple rounds of ammunition. Today, President Joe Biden again called for a ban on assault weapons.
It's happening far too often in this country. We have to do something to stop gun violence ripping apart our communities.
According to the Gun Violence Archive, this shooting marks the 67th mass shooting in our country just this year, and it comes on the 5th anniversary of the Parkland High School massacre in Florida, and less than a year and a half after the Oxford, Michigan high school shooting. Authorities say some students who survived that deadly school shooting were also among those running for their lives at MSU last night.
Another place that is supposed to be about community and togetherness, shattered by bullets and bloodshed.
Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer has lowered flags at half-staff in Michigan And President Biden has spoken with her and pledged to support local and state response efforts. Meanwhile, law enforcement are now combing through the shooter's social media accounts and writings for any extremist views. Tonight, we've learned McRae served 18 months in prison between 2019 and 2021 on a weapons charge. Investigators are still trying to determine his motive. They say he had no connection to the victims or Michigan State.
Okay, guys, so that was the official report about Michigan State. Like I said, there went on to be some incidents happening on Tuesday, which increased the number from 67 to 71 currently as of right now, February 15th at this hour. And I just want to talk about it. Also, the niece, as you could see that there was a young Black student there. The niece, she is the niece of a reality TV star named Delicious from Flavor of Love. And you briefly saw the family at the beginning of that clip saying, you know, they thought that she was hiding. They were hoping that she was hiding and she had not become a victim. What I talk about always in regards to this gun violence in America is the fact that it can happen at anywhere and it can involve anyone. And this is currently the deadliest year of all time in America based off of how many shootings there's been at this time of year. Today is February 15th. All right. I'm assuming we're probably sitting around maybe 45 days in the year so far. We've already had more mass shootings in the US than days in the year. And you know, I can only say what I continue to tell you guys, which is it's so much better to be proactive. It's so much better to be forward thinking. It's so much better to not disassociate yourself with what's happening around you, but see and understand those threats and exercise strategy. So like I said, in this particular topic, a myriad of things motivated this particular message. Obviously, the number of mass shootings, but I personally have a friend who lives in Michigan. She texted me on Monday and I was absolutely petrified. She texted me and she said, "Oh my God, I'm literally in a mass shooting right now, Gina." And I said, "Are you safe?" I didn't know what was going on. She said, there's an active shooter at Michigan State. They're locking down my community and this kind of thing. And apparently this man, wanted to go to other campuses and affect other students. And they can't really see the correlation between him and this, the university. He wasn't like a staff or he wasn't like a current student or anything like that. They can't see the correlation. So my girlfriend was texting me back and forth. And she said that she had just returned from Costa Rica. She had a business trip to Costa Rica. She got back and she was met with a mass shooting in her community. And like I said, I saw that there was an incident at a local school in Columbus, about 2 weeks ago at Pickerington Middle School. Guys, I think it's unwise to keep playing with this stuff. Obviously, I feel like at times I feel like a broken record because I've literally been saying the same things for years. I actually took the dramatic and drastic action to get out of the US in 2017. And I actually felt like I'm behind the 8 ball. I'm always on pins and needles when I'm there. And I'm always mindful because you just never know. My little sister is a teacher at a school in Ohio, and I worry about her. I worry about her being out. And, once my friend had texted me on Monday and told me about this, I, immediately text my sister and I said, I love you. Where are you? Just to know that she was okay. It's just senseless, guys. And in my opinion, the answer is clear of what needs to happen. The accessibility to guns needs to be restricted. I can guarantee if the accessibility to guns was restricted, you would see a sharp decline in gun violence in America because people wouldn't have access. The average person wouldn't have access to guns. You know, there are ways to get the guns off of the streets. Like I said, offer a buyback program. You know, people would be selling those guns left and right if there was a buyback program. You know, some people have an arsenal of guns that they, you know, I mean, just imagine you have 10 guns and they're offering you $1,000 each to get rid of them. You can make $10,000 overnight. If you have more guns, or matter of fact, people would be looking for guns to sell. They would get their guns, come to your house, go to their parents' house, pick up guns. You know, we could go ahead and begin to address that problem by doing a buyback program. You know, that's my particular suggestion. Also, security at schools is absolutely a must now. You know, metal detectors, random backpack checks. I mean, you know, obviously people in America want to talk about their freedoms and their liberties, but obviously people can't handle the freedoms. You know, when I was growing up, you would have your privileges revoked if you didn't appreciate your freedoms, right? Shout out to anybody in the chat room. If you got punished like that, your parents said, you were late from curfew, you're on punishment. Your report card didn't look good, you're on punishment. You brought my car back later than you were supposed to, you're on punishment. You didn't clean your room. If anybody got punished, number one. It's very simple. You know, freedom should be cherished. If at a point freedoms cannot be appreciated, freedoms have now become a detriment to society. You know, the intended purposes of weapons in America is to protect your home against a government invasion, against, you know, someone trying to invade your property, a burglar, and in the case of self-defense, if your life is threatened. You know, these mass shootings, that is not the premise of what guns are there, to just go and terrorize random people, you know, in their workplace, at school, public transportation, you know, so on and so forth. 71 shootings. And to you people out there, because again, our people love to just disassociate themselves, you know, and think, oh, it's not my problem, it's not this and that. Well, as you could see, a random family was involved, a random Black family was involved. You know, a student at school minding her own business. And then now another hashtag, now another victim. Her auntie is famous, apparently. You know, that didn't save her from becoming a victim. And this is just tragic. They said that there was a corresponding school shooting at a neighboring university, Oxford, I believe they said. And they said some of the students that were involved in that shooting were also students at Michigan State. So for some of these students, they're now incurring this active shooter stuff at their school on more than one occasion. You know, the telltale signs are there. If you were smart, you would not put yourself in harm's way. I have particularly been preaching this message to my audience for years now. You know, telling you to get your game plan together. If the continent is maybe not your thing, you know, there are other places to consider. It doesn't make sense to keep on living in a hostile environment, considering that gun violence is not the only hostility that we experience as Black people in these Western settings. You know, in the UK, they have a knife problem. You know, I saw an article last week that there were umpteen stabbings in, you know, London, different parts around London last week. Which means, this is my point. Now, if people in the UK had access to guns, which many of you guys, I don't know, I've talked about it on several videos, but you may not be aware that in the UK, a civilian cannot just go purchase a gun the way they can in America. There are huge fines if you are found to have a gun. and you don't have clearance for it. Obviously, like maybe military and even some of the police officers don't carry weapons in the UK. And that is a result after their first and only school shooting. Okay, there was a mass shooting in the UK in 1996 called Dunblane. You can go look it up. And immediately the next day, they voted to do away with civilian access to guns. So as a result, knife crime is the prevailing crime in the UK in terms of violent crimes. And that's also very terrible, obviously. But you know, the spectrum of who can be involved in a knife incident is fewer. Okay. Versus, like, for instance, when there was that mass shooting at the country music festival, you know, a man was in a hotel aiming down at the crowd and just unloading several rounds into the people. And they couldn't even figure out where this shooting was coming from. That can't happen with knives. You know, you may be able to slash a few people before you're apprehended or whatever, but mass shootings, no, it can't, you know, it's not happening because of why? Because of access. The answer is obvious. And as for in the immediate spectrum is, you know, there's this movement that I read about, and it's the acronym is SYSBM. Okay. And it stands for, it's actually an acronym that, you know, these passport bros and these swirlers and all these kind of people that are like abandoning their community, they use it. And it stands for Save Yourself, Black Man. Right now, you know, no level of gun reform in America is going to solve this problem, because this problem is an overgrown problem. First of all, you have the issue of people not being sound. Okay, that's first and foremost. Okay, you have people that are not mentally sound. You have people that don't know problem resolution or don't want to exercise problem resolution. And then you combine that with accessibility to guns, and you have the deadliest the deadliest shooting year to date here in 2023. Obviously, those of you living there, you can't do anything about gun reform on your levels. You know, I would say SYS, BM, and BW. Save yourself, Black men and women. All right. You see these shootings happening all around the globe, you know, all around you. You know, you see people becoming victims all around you. And I know you're going to come and tell me, well, Gina, everybody can't do this and everybody can't do that. Well, you know, I would say that to all the victims, respectively, you know, everybody who became a victim on Monday knew about the gun epidemic in America. Everyone who became a hashtag relative to police brutality knew about people that preceded them. But there's a cognitive dissonance because they somehow believe they would never be in that situation. They believe that it would never happen to you. I heard some students on the clip that I shared earlier say, I can't believe it happened here. I never thought it would happen here. It can happen anywhere. SYS, BM, BW, save yourself, Black man, Black women. Huh? You guys are better than me because you just keep on being over there and just rolling the dice every day. You roll it. Every single day you roll it. I'm not saying that obviously here in Ghana, you know, incidents can't happen. Incidents can absolutely happen here. But what I am saying is mass shootings, that's not happening here. School shootings, that's not happening here. Shootings at the Melcom or the ShopRite or a Cry Mall or in a Trotro, not happening here. You know, your probabilities of being involved in a lot of nonsense are higher in America. There's a cognitive dissonance, and I know it. And I'm definitely not talking to the people that are delusional about the West. Some of you guys, you just, you know, the way you love money. You don't really care if you're in harm's way. You don't really care if your kids are in harm's way. You know, there are things potentially you can do in that setting to lessen your probability. But I think it would centralize around, you know, trying to restrict your presence to the general public, which means, you know, ordering things online instead of going to the grocery store, you know, maybe working remote, maybe homeschooling your kids, because anytime you're out in the public, you're subject. And I have talked about it. I talked about, you know, gun violence just what, a week ago, related to a Ghanaian. But guys, the writing is on the wall. The writing is on the wall. You know, the fundamentals of what America's supposed to be like is supposed to be freedom. You can't have freedom, physical freedom, or freedom of the mind when you are concerned about a gun epidemic. And a wise person will definitely be cognizant of what is happening around them. You know, you see that maybe, you know, because in my opinion, it's getting closer and closer to home. You know, I'm now hearing about mass shootings on Facebook before I even see stories. You know, I got a text message from my friend in Michigan telling me about this situation at Michigan State University. I saw on my Facebook feed about the incident at the Pickerington Middle School. And consequently, there's also a toxic chemical train derailment in Ohio near the Ohio-Pennsylvania border. I did hear about that as well. And apparently, you know, people in the area have been evacuated. They're already complaining about headaches and nausea. And many animals in the area have, you know, been found dead around the chemicals. Guys, you know, I mean, I feel like a broken record. I realized a long time ago, I don't have power over certain things. You know, I don't have power over the American environment. I don't have power over my peers. I don't have power over guns. I don't have power over racism. I don't have power over police, you know. So, but unfortunately, all of those things I just listed can have a profound effect on me. So I did the second best thing, which was, you know what? I can't change the environment. So let me remove myself from the environment. You know, I talk about sometimes on this channel, fight or flight. I decided, you know what? I'm not going to use my life as the catalyst for perpetual struggle. I'm not going to do that. Okay. And I don't want to become a victim or a martyr. I don't want to become a hashtag. You know, my life is valuable to me. My life is valuable to the loved ones in my life. I'm not going to be anywhere where I proactively understand my risk is higher. Migrating to the continent, leaving America, leaving the UK is not an easy process. But if you do it proactively, you come out on top because you are shot calling your own movements. This is about self-preservation, guys. This is about survival. Some of you don't want to accept the current state of America. Black Beauty always, you know, says, for some people, America's still great. Some of you guys, because the way you're holding on to that ideal version or that marketed version of the West and prosperity and freedom, you can't let go of it. And obviously, Black Americans are addicted to their oppressor. They say they're not, but when it comes down to estranging themselves from their oppressor or putting some distance between them and their oppressor, they're not about it. They're not ready to do it. See, me and my oppressor, we ain't cool. I don't like them. We don't get along. So the minute I had an opportunity to get the hell away from them, that's precisely what I did. And it took strategy. And every day, as I was preparing myself to get out of there, I was nervous. I was always nervous. I was an Uber driver for 2 years, you know, but I did take precautions as much as I could. I only drove in the daytime. I didn't drive at night. You know, and I'm going to share a story before I wrap up. What's up, family? 71 mass shootings in the U.S. currently already. By February 15th, 2023, we at 71, and y'all know it's going to rise. I believe there was over 600 mass shootings in 2020. Let me get my facts, huh? Let me get my facts. Let's get the facts. How many mass shootings in 2022? Or if you guys can actually find it before I find it. We're just going to go to Google. What's up, family? Make sure you like the stream. Today I'm talking about it. Huh? People want to act like, you know, they want to dance around it, and they want to come here and try to give me excuses. Well, you can do what you want to do. You can do what you want to do, because I've done what I needed to do. I know that when I go to the grocery store here in Ghana, I don't worry about mass shootings. I feel comfortable in the environment. I feel comfortable going out for chilling, you know, so on and so forth. Let's see how many. Let's see what it says here. Trying to get the total. Yep. And this was as of November 22nd of 2022. So you still had a month in the year. But at that point, there were 638 mass shootings. It says the worst year on record since it's been tracked. So now, this year, they've already started surpassing that record for the year, because by this time last year, they didn't have this high of numbers of 71 shootings so far. So that means, unfortunately, unless there's some kind of dramatic, you know, change, this year will be a record-breaking year in mass shootings. And guys, ask yourself, I tell you guys all the time, please do not be naive and pretending it cannot happen to you. Ask yourself. Ask yourself, what would you do if you're out at Walmart and the active shooter comes? Because it's reality. What would you do if a school shooter went to your child's school or your child's university? What would you do if an active shooter came up in your workplace? What kind of provisions are you going to take to protect yourself? And is the answer that you want to give, oh, I'm going to get myself a gun, Gina. I'm going to fight fire with fire. Just transpose yourself into the position for a moment. You know, what kind of person are you? Are you the kind of person that hesitates? Are you the kind of person that's confused? Are you the emotional person? When you hear the guns, you just start crying, you start running. You know, you got to realize that in those situations where there's an active shooter, you know, you got to react right away. If you're someone who, okay, I want to fight fire with fire, you might not have that time to get popping. Or what if you can't locate where it's coming from? You don't know. Maybe it's not a shooter right in front of you. Maybe they're sniping or something like that. You don't stand a chance. You know, this is a conversation that's worth having. For you continentals, this is very serious. Okay? Because this is what you want to place yourself in. You want to place yourself in a place where you can be shot at your workplace. You can be shot going to the grocery. You can be shot going to school. You can be shot road rage. You know, you could be shot by a police officer. I mean, this is part of the reason why living in America, your statistics are so high of being involved in gun violence, because there's so many different instances in which you can be affected. And the nature of the gun violence is random. Random. No common denominators between these guns and these victims. Okay? Some of them, they got vendettas. They just want to go. And, you know, sometimes there used to be more correlations. Okay, well, I got bullied at school, so I want to go kill the bullies. I got fired at work, so I want to go ahead and kill my boss. You know, my girlfriend was cheating on me. My husband left me for the other woman. So you could see some correlations. I'm not justifying it, but there used to be a lot more correlations as to why people are doing this violence. Now it's just random. Now it's like my life is messed up. So I'm about to just, you know, I just want to unleash. You know, I don't have no friends. I don't have no partner. You know, I'm depressed. All I do is sit in the house and play video games. Now it's time for me to get out here and do this in real life. And this is another thing. You American passport holders, okay? Previously, you thought it was, you know, an asset. You thought it was like, yeah, you know, great. Well, I would like to promote that you get a secondary citizenship or something in place. You guys have already been through border lockdowns and all that stuff in 2020. Again, if it was not an eye-opening experience for you, I don't know what the hell it's going to take. Okay? What you don't want to do is wait for, you know, the fire before you see the smoke. Okay, don't be that person that's like, oh my goodness, yeah, I smelled it. I smelled the fire and I see the smoke right there in the next compound, but it's not here in my house, so I'm okay. No. Bronco Blue is saying the U.S. has announced that all Americans must leave Russia and Belarus yesterday. Some stuff's about to kick off, and you may even see some retaliatory actions in the U.S. If you guys remember during the COVID lockdowns, you know, if you didn't have alternative citizenship, even if you were a foreigner, so let's say you were from Germany, but you had an American passport or whatever, okay, you couldn't go back to Germany without your passport. Now, had you had a German passport, you could have traveled. And there are some countries where they only allow you to have one passport, which means you can't maintain dual citizenship or anything like that. I advise you guys to start looking at your situation with a bird's eye view, because in my opinion, the writing is on the wall in the US. Yes, you need to sit down with yourself and devise an evacuation plan or a migration plan ASAP. And like I talked about earlier in this video, you know, it's dramatic, it's serious. You need to do, if you are in a position where you're like, Gina, I can't, you know, I'm anchored here for the very near future. I don't have options of moving abroad or whatever. Okay, well then you need to do your best to reduce your probabilities. How you do that? I recommend ordering services, you know, order your groceries online, order your food online, do your shopping online, have it shipped to your home. Okay, kids, if you're in a position, homeschool is the way forward. I'm sorry. These schools are not secure. You would think at this point they would have security, they would have, you know, armed guards or metal detectors or whatever. They don't. And in some places like universities, there's so much campus. You know, how exactly could they monitor everything that's happening? You know, but all I see is a reactionary way to deal with this stuff. And it's unfortunate because I know, and I always hope that I don't hear from the family and tell me, you know, oh my goodness, Gina, this happened to my spouse, this happened to my children. I never want to hear that. But the reality is, if you don't proactively take action to protect yourself, you are playing Russian roulette. That's just the facts. The statistics are not in your favor, guys. And beyond the mass shooting, you know, category, we have racially motivated. Okay, so we're at an advanced risk than, let's say, our white counterparts, our Asian counterparts, our Latinas. You can't even talk about the Jewish people. You know, we got a lot of disparaging factors facing our people more than other ethnicities, and we playing with it. We playing with it. You only got one life to live. That's the truth. Ain't no 9 lives, ain't no coming back. You should protect and guard your life with everything that you have. You know, you should be prepared to make those difficult decisions, so be it, if you need to preserve your life. If you're wise, heed this message. I've been talking it for years, period. I've also given you a beacon, a light, a path, a direction to working on getting yourself into place, you know? And I know firsthand it takes strategy, it takes maturity, it takes patience, it takes money, it takes planning. I understand all that. But if you are there and you have yet to do anything amid the chaos, listen, today's the day. Today's the day. You know, I think it's ridiculous that you would need to sit down with your school-age children, because now they're shooting at the primary school. See, when I was a teenager, the first school shooting happened at a high school. Okay, which you could kind of correlate. Okay, there's some students that are bullied and their parents have weapons or whatever, and they've gotten these weapons and now they want to come take it out on the bullies or come take it out on the teachers. You know, it's a little distorted, but I can see the correlation. I can understand, because, you know, teenagers are emotional, and some of them, it was always the weird students that would initiate this kind of stuff. You know, I don't have no friends, or I don't have no boyfriend, I get bullied, you know, that type of student. But now they doing it up in the primaries. You know, recently a 6-year-old student shot his teacher. So you need to do the necessary. If your life means anything to you, because I think that it's unanimous in this room, you know, those of you viewing me, that this is not the last mass shooting in America this year. Currently, there have been more mass shootings in days of the year. If that trend continues, that means you're at risk every single day of the rest of this year and beyond being there. Yes. And some of you guys are, again, at even heightened risk, because maybe your profession, maybe you work at a school. You know, maybe you work at a government building. You know, sometimes those military dudes get messed up, or they got PTSD, or those veterans, they run up in the buildings and shoot up, whatever. Perhaps you work at, you know, a grocery store or somewhere where the public is all the time, or you work in the mass transit. You work on the trains or in the buses. You know, so the more you interact with the public, the higher your probability is going to be. Isn't that right? Then in addition, like I said, you know, you also have the domestic violence. You also have police brutality. Guys, look, again, the writing's on the wall. You guys send me these stories. Oh my God, Gina, what do you think? I have repetitively told you what I think. I think America is dangerous. And I think if you're smart, you will get the hell out of there by your own recognizance. That's what I think. That's what I think. You know, because otherwise you are rolling the dice every single day. Everybody who just got affected this week in a mass shooting, none of them anticipated becoming that hashtag, that victim. I'm pretty sure if those students had any inkling that there would be a shooting on campus that day, they wouldn't have gone to school. They wouldn't have gone to classes. You know, but obviously, time and chance. You know, people get frustrated with the postal system. You know, there's even a saying, I'm about to go postal, which means I'm about to wow out. So, you know, all these things that you're interacting with the public, people are, like I said, they're unstable. They're triggered. You know, they blame it on mental illness. I think a lot of people are frustrated in life. I think a lot of people are dealing with bouts of depression, and, you know, their quality of life is not great. Their personal life is not great. Their sex life is not great. So they're fed up. So, you know, when they see, oh my God, the FedEx man, He left my parcel outside in the rain. That's it. I'm fed up. That's the end. You know, I was in the house and they left a notice that they came to deliver and I was right here, but they never rang the bell. You know, anything could set these people off because they're not sound. And then they have a weapon in addition with their, you know, insanity or temporary insanity. Yes. So that is my thoughts on this current, you know, current event rather. You know, I just think it's absolutely ridiculous. And I know, like I said, because I don't come on my platform and just talk and complain. I've given solutions of what I think could immediately be implemented. I think gun accessibility, it's a wrap. You know, I think the American government needs to suspend the access of guns. I guarantee if they start restricting access and they do a buyback program, you will see gun violence in America dramatically decrease. I can bet money on that. But they will never do it. But if they did, you know, the same way during COVID lockdowns, when everything was shut and they had to be home, crime went down, right? Because the people couldn't be out. Everything was shut. You know, if people cannot govern themselves with freedom, like I gave the example earlier, when we were children, you know, sometimes your parents had to restrict you. You know, sometimes your parents might give you the opportunity to say, okay, you know what? Your curfew's 10 o'clock. Okay. They give you the liberty. You keep coming home at 12 o'clock. They said, that's it. After the second time, they even gave you a grace. Say, you know what? Maybe something happened. Maybe they didn't realize that they went past curfew. But, you know, there's an old saying that say you give a person an inch and they take a mile. So some of y'all, and I know my viewers is hard-headed. Yeah, because I've been talking to y'all for years and y'all still don't listen. But yeah, some of you guys will be like, oh, mom and dad didn't notice I didn't come in on time. Okay, I'm going to try it again. Okay. The second time they said, okay, you know what? You broke curfew for the second time. Now that's it. You're on punishment. You can't go out for 2 weeks. You know, no card, no this, no that. You can't have my credit card, no cell phone, whatever. Restriction. It works. You know, old school works a lot of times. We can't want to reinvent the wheel. Just, you know, do the necessary. If people can't be responsible, okay, you want to put more laws on firearms, but that has nothing to do with accessibility. A lot of these guns being used in these instances now are licensed guns. Kids are taking their parents' guns, which are licensed to the parent. The parent went through the proper channels, got registered, went to the gun range, got licensed, whatever they're supposed to do. And then their kid accesses it, takes it to school. A 6-year-old didn't go to a gun shop and purchase a gun, but he knew how to use it and he knew where to get it from. And I'm pretty sure it came from his parents. So, yes. So that's my thoughts and opinions on this particular topic. Those of you that will catch the playback, let me hear what you have to say in the box below. As for all 20 of y'all here, I want to just check something real quick. I want to see if you guys are on code, huh? I want to see if you guys are on code because lately I've been noticing that y'all don't want to be on code. Just hit the likes. That's all you got to do. Let me check. That y'all don't want to be on code. Just hit. Let me see here. Oh, we need to get the likes up. We need to get the likes up. They not at 20. Let's get the likes up real quick before I wrap up this episode. Yes, family. So thank you for those of you watching. You know, obviously, my well wishes are with all of you. You know, I definitely want to say that. I know it's a scary, scary time in America. I am concerned because I have family and wow, there was another shooting. You know, like I said, I'm concerned, and I've had the conversation with my sister as well. I say, you know, maybe you need to look for something online. Because I know I sure as hell wouldn't be working in no school right now. Sorry. I can't do it. It's just too dangerous. I'm straight. Any school, anytime, these kids, they got a lot going on in their lives and everything. And I just can't, I can't put it on the line. I don't want to be a hashtag. You know, the only hashtag I want to be, I always tell y'all, I got my own hashtag, which is hashtag African Superstar. Okay. And I like that hashtag. It garners respect. It's like, yeah, Gina's in the building. That's my hashtag. That's how it needs to be. I don't want no other RIP, you know, see you on the other side, meet me at the crossroads. I'm not trying to, no. And I can meet situations here in Ghana. I can meet situations in the UK. You know, I try to just lessen my probability by being involved with the general public, to be honest, when I'm out and about, because that's, you know, that's where your probabilities are going to be the highest. You know, when you're with strangers and you don't know what's going on, you know. So anyway, that's all for now, guys. Big shout out to the African Superstar family. I hope you guys got the lights up. Yes. Until we meet again, stay black and true. If you ain't black, just stay true.